Welcome back, everybody. This is part of our series on installing, configuring the AI Stackmaster's stack. So I'm going to run through the configuration. So I'm going to assume that at this point you've got the stack installed and it's up and running. Now we're going to run through what happens when you want to configure it. So wherever you have this running, whether it's Windows, Linux, Mac, VPS, local machine, whatever, you would put that into a particular location. So in this example, I'm on Windows. The default location is Program Data, Stack Masters, and then Stack Pro or Community, depending on which version you're on. So in that folder, we have a folder called Deploy. We're going to go into the Deploy folder. And in here, we have the Docker folder, which, if you're not familiar, oops, try that again. Is where your .env file is kept. So if you have, if you need to look up credentials or any details in here, I'm actually just going to go, yeah. So if you need to look up any credentials that you may have auto-generated, if you decided not to put in your own master admin password, it would be in that .env file there in the deployed Docker folder. All right. And then we also have the scripts folder. So when you did the install, the first thing that ran when you did the Stackmaster setup, copy and paste, if you did it that way, then it ran through the generate env config, which is what ran first. And so there's both bash versions of these for Linux and Mac, and then PowerShell versions of these for Windows. So it ran through generate, and then it ran through install. So if you wanted to go back through and doing the installs or reconfiguring everything, you can do it here from the scripts directly as well. So for example, if I say install PS1 help, you'll see there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do in here to configure this. There's all kinds of options in here for doing clean installs, for rebuilding things. 99% of the time, you're never going to need any of these features, but if you're looking for them, this is where you find them. Okay. So let's install, generate, but the one that you're going to use probably most often if you want to configure things is the configure script. So I'm on Windows, so I'm going to do the configure the PS1 file. So you do configure.sh if you were running on Linux or Mac. So this is the configuration tool. There's lots of stuff that it does. It handles the SMTP configuration for the whole stack and all the services, handles the CloudFlare tunnels if you want to set up security and custom DNS. It configures the CPU usage, the memory usage, the number of workers, all that kind of stuff. So this is a clean install. I haven't done any configurations. I'm going to click 4 and view the current configuration. You're going to see, where I'm installed to. You're going to see my, my admin password is daniel@demo.com. There's no domain set up yet. Memory profile, email is not configured, cloud for tunnels. So nothing's set up on this machine. It's just a fresh, clean install of the stack. Okay. Sure, I'm going to go back. Now, so let's just start with SMTP. So I go 1 for SMTP. And then this is going to give me a bunch of pre-configured SMTP servers. So basically, all of these pre-configured ones, it's just going to ask me for a username and password. They all have varying degrees of setup that have to be done. A lot of people might be using Office 365 or SendGrid or AWS, whatever the case might be. For most of these, it's just going to ask you for the username or password or other credential information. But I'm going to pick on like Microsoft 365 as an example that a lot of people might be using. You can also do a custom SMTP server. If you do custom, then it's going to ask you for the SMTP server URL. It's going to ask for port numbers and security settings and things like that. So there's lots of options in there. But if you pick one of the pre-configured ones, it's going to set pretty much all those for you. So I'm going to do Office 365 as number 2. And this is going to give me a bunch of help and information. All right, so this is going to tell me what I need to do to configure it. And so you can copy and paste these URLs into your browser and go look up additional documentation and details on those. And then you can see the configuration details here that are defaults, port numbers and servers and things that we've got already pre-configured. So in this case, I've already gone through the steps. I've already gone through the admin center and, turned on the authenticate SMTP setting. I've already gone through and generated a application username password for my account in Office 365, and these are all details on how to set that up. So it has all the information for you for each one of these. So now it's going to prompt me. It says, "What's my SMTP username or email?" So I'm going to feed in that, the one that I've already configured on one of my 365 tenants, and then I'm going to paste in the password here. And it's going to ask me to confirm the from email address and standard name. You can just leave these as default if you want to and push enter. And then it's going to ask if I want to test this. So I'm going to say yes. So it's going to go out and do a whole verification test. It's going to connect to it. It's actually going to send me a test email. So you can go check that and make sure you got the test email and that kind of stuff. So, and then when you're ready, you just push enter. Let's take you back. And you can go back through that as many times as you want to, reconfigure it, test it. Everything in there has retry steps and backup steps and stuff. So if you want to go through it multiple times, it won't hurt anything. Ultimately, all this configuration tool is doing is making updates to the .env file for you. So you don't have to go through and manually configure the env file. We've made it so you basically never have to touch the env file for configurations. All of this is done through the configuration tool for you, or automatically through the stack install. So next up, CloudFlare tunnel. So this is one a lot of people want to do. So also note here, you can see that there's a apply configuration changes are required up here at the top. We'll get to that in a minute. But I changed the SMTP settings and it detected that, so it wants me to go and fix that. So there, restart everything. So the same changes take effect. So when you're setting up Cloudflare, it wants 3 domains: one for NAN, one for Grafana, and one for the Stack Manager. So we're going to walk through this real quick. And on a domain that I have set up in Cloudflare, you just need the domain that you want to use to be managed by Cloudflare. So that's free. Doesn't matter who you're registered through, GoDaddy or whoever your registrar is. You can change the name server over to Cloudflare and transfer it there. They'll do all the DNS hosting for you for free. But it does have to be a domain that's managed by Cloudflare if you want to use the free Cloudflare service for tunnels. Now, also, if you want multiple subdomains, so for example, if you want nan.prod.mydomain.com, which is multiple levels deep, then you also need the Cloudflare Advanced Certificates feature in Cloudflare, which is a paid feature. It's $10 a month per domain. So it's not per account, it's per domain. It's $10 a month if you want to go multiple levels deep. So otherwise, if you're just going one level deep, so for example, let's just say nan-demo.stackmasters.cloud, which is a domain we have internally for testing. And then I'm going to say I want monitor demo.stackmasters.cloud. And then we'll say we want manage demo.stackmasters.cloud. Okay, so you can make these whatever you want to. We have recommended options here for that, but there you go. So here it's gone through, it's configured, and you can see webhook URLs and things configured for NAN. And then what's a name for the tunnel. So this is just for you, so you know what it is later on if you go look at it in Cloudflare. So I usually do agent hosting, let's just say setup demo, right? Again, the system doesn't care what this is named, it's entirely for you internally. So if you go look at it in Cloudflare, you know which one you're looking at. All right, and then for authentication to Cloudflare. So the stack is going to set up Cloudflare for you. You don't have to go create domains. You don't have to set up tunnels. You don't have to do any of that. It's going to do it all for you. But it needs an API key from Cloudflare in order to do that. So we have 2 options here for authentication to Cloudflare. You can do an API token, which is what we recommend, or you can do the global API key. Global API key is a little easier, I guess. but it's going to give it global access to all of your domains and everything in Cloudflare. And when I say everything, you can manage everything on your behalf globally in Cloudflare. That's typically an API key you don't want to put anywhere. So we recommend using the API token, which is going to give you a very specific API token just for this operation, just for this stack to update its own DNS and tunnels. So I'm going to hit number 1. Number 2 would be the same. I'm just going to paste an API key. But if I push number 1 here, now this is going to give me all the instructions. Right? So it's going to tell me to go to this URL right here. You can copy and paste this. Keep in mind if you are on a remote VPS in particular, a lot of times if you try to copy this Control-C, then your Control-C is actually a cancel for the script on a lot of systems. So you typically want to highlight this and copy, right click on do browser and copy paste or however you're accessing that server. But just be aware if it bumps you out of the script because it Control-C exited, then just start the configure script again. You can run it as many times as you want to. No harm. But I'm going to go to this URL in Cloudflare. And I'm going to follow these instructions. So, right, it says create token. So it gives you a step-by-step guide on what to do. And then up here, we have the list of the permissions that we need, right? So you need account, Cloudflare tunnel edit, zone DNS read, zone DNS edit. Keep in mind in Cloudflare, zone DNS edit does not grant zone DNS read. So you do need both of those. So it just needs those 3. And then also in there, you can set it to be specific to just the one domain that it's getting access to as well. Very straightforward, really easy interface. So here's what I'm going to do. I've got this already generated for mine. So I'm going to enter the API key that I've already generated. It's going to get the account ID. So again, it's going to tell you the URL to go to, pick a domain. You can just copy and paste the account ID. They need the zone ID for the particular domain that you're using. And there you go. And these are just real simple copy pastes off the Cloudflare website. And so it's just confirming, do I want to proceed? I'm going to say yes. And it went out there and validated everything and looks good. Okay. If I view my current configuration, now you can see that it's pulled these domains from my env file. Same thing with my email, right? And then my Cloudflare tunnel. So, but before this gets applied, right, it says configuration changes pending, restart required. So I'm going to push number 5 here. And yes to continue. Now, if you're running this on a production machine and you've got N8N automations that are already running, be careful because this is going to take down the N8N server for a minute and restart things. So if you have live running production, just be aware of that and plan for when you want to do this. All right, so this is going to take down all the core services that the configurations touch. You can see them recreating and running here, and you're going to get check marks as these get completed. We're restarting all the services. Most important one here for the Cloudflare updates is the proxy Cloudflare right here. You can see that's already started. So give that just a few more seconds here. You can see it's pretty quick, right? It's 20 seconds, 25 seconds, there's 20, I guess 28. But anyways, so services have all been started and we're ready to go. And that's all there is to it. So now my stack has been restarted. If I go to those custom domain URLs, it will have already gone into Cloudflare, created the tunnel, created the DNS, set everything up for me, and it's off and running. So rock and roll. Now, if I want to confirm that, if you want to do it from the command line, I'll show you how to do it from the command line. If you go into Grafana logs, you can also see all the logs there. So you don't have to go into the Docker containers here. But if I want to say Docker logs, proxy Cloudflare, this is going to get me the logs from that container. And I can see here that my DNS records were updated, right? Successfully updated and fixed. I may have had a previous demo that I ran through. So yeah, it corrected the domains for me. It's successfully fixed, and tunnels running, and healthy. So rock and roll. There's a bunch of self-healing, self-fixing built into the Cloudflare proxy service in particular. So it will go through many iterations to make sure that it is up and running for you with no issues. The other one, if you want to just do a spot check, we can do Docker logs, proxy, go true. Oh, sorry, auth go true. This one's handy because go true is actually going to go through. So we set up SMTP. Go true is actually going to go through and do a validation on that SMTP when it comes up. And so if there's a problem with SMTP, go true, the authentication that we use for both Grafana and for Stack Manager will fail. So if you get down here and go true is started successfully and up and running, you can see email stuff is here. So go true mailer autoconfirm is true, right? So it's got all the email stuff, SMTP, here's the port, etc. And so you can see that it's up and running, and 99% of the time that confirms that email is operational and good to go. So in the deploy scripts folder is where you're going to find these. That configure script is your main configuration. And after this, pretty much everything in the stack is configured and ready. I'll do another video on setting up the Stack Master integration, the Stack Manager integration to NAN and some of those things next.